His wife is another wonderful person. So Allison Guidroz is a horticulturist. She helps develop backyard gardens. And that's something that is definitely a lost art. I definitely need help with mine. In fact, I go to them for seedlings to start my own garden. So she helps set up these backyard gardens, and I think that's such an important thing to do for all of us, but especially the ones that have children, so that our children know where food comes from, that we can grow it and how it grows. And so Allison is helping with that fundamental part of things in life. So if you want to start a backyard garden, she's the one to help. So she's going to be our next speaker. Thank you for joining us, Allison. And the two of them, again, you can find in the corner with the produce. The bathroom is in the back. And I do want to just say to you all, thank you for putting up with some of the noise. The only way that all of us can be in some air conditioning is for us all to be together. And the speakers may sound a little bit loud for some of you all, but that's just because we want to project so that everyone towards the back of the room can hear as well. So thank you.
Hi, how are y'all? Thank you. I'm Allison Guidroz. Grant is my husband, and so we are co-owners of Fullness Farm. And we started in 2015. It's grown and changed through the years, especially since having 3 kids. My role has changed. And also it's changed since I've gone back and got my master's degree. I had the opportunity to go back and get my master's degree with a focus in soil health. Thank you. With a focus in soil health on our farm. So I was able to analyze the soil on our farm to figure out, are we managing it in a good way? Because we grow everything organically, regeneratively, and it's basically like preventive medicine for the crops. So that really starts in the soil. So it's a wonderful opportunity to see, are we doing a good job? Is this legit? Does it seem to be working other places? And more than ever, I'm just assured of what we're doing. It has so many great implications as far as how you manage your soil, like Grant was talking about. But one thing that I've done a lot since is helping other people start their gardens, and as well as nonprofits and all kinds of, whoever needs a garden, I'm happy to help. And we really feel like it's a mission to help people learn to grow and to have that kind of independence too. Y'all tell me you can't hear me at any point. Okay, so I'm just going to give you kind of a general introduction. I'm going to give you some tips for starting a garden, a few resources, and then also if you want to talk or ask any questions, we're over there. And I also have a book of gardens. I can just give you some ideas of what's possible. Okay, so it's interesting, it feels full circle to come back and do gardens again, because when we were in college, we initially started our LLC putting in gardens. But we put it on hold and didn't think, we thought that was really fun to do and a great business, and we had more business than we could handle, but kind of just put it on the shelf until recently, since I started back maybe a year and a half, 2 years ago. And so we design, install, and maintain custom organic beds, but we also are happy to consult with homeowners if they want to do it themselves, and a lot do. They want to do it themselves. They just need some consulting, some help, some tips. And so we can kind of help anyway from, like a garden coach all the way to do it DIY. All the way to turnkey, where they can do it, just go out and harvest vegetables, basically. So we work with individuals. I work with a few different neighborhoods, which is interesting. There's a trend in development to incorporate in gardens, walking trails, access to local food. And so a couple of the communities in Baton Rouge have done this. And one of them is Rutan, and they have what they call silo farm, where homeowners can rent out some beds and then a lot of beds I take care of, and then I go once a week, harvest what's available, wash it, pack it out, cut the flowers, arrange the flowers, and then the homeowners can just come and take the produce. So it's just an amenity to living in this neighborhood is access to the beautiful area and to this fresh, organically grown food. And it's an amazing community building place. You know, it's so easy for people to come in the garden, talk about other things. If they're renting out beds, talk about what are you growing, how are you going to cook it, can I come over and eat it, you know, that kind of stuff. So it's really been neat to see the community building in a neighborhood. We help with a community garden down the road from where we are, and we put in 50 fruit trees for them, and then I work a lot with homeowners. So, I mean, the benefits of the garden, I started writing these, and it's like I could just go on and on and on and on about the benefits of having a garden. And like Dr. LaCrystal was saying, you know, getting outside, being physically active, having access to this delicious food, having the peace that comes with knowing you can grow your own food, having, no matter what size garden you have, there's always some to share. So sharing with your neighbors, sitting around the table, having good conversations, that might be the best part of it, you know, is sitting around and enjoying good food with people you care about and talking. And we saw this video of a woman years ago that was on YouTube, and she talked about the hazards of backyard chickens. And you know, you might think it's like salmonella or whatever, but no, she's like, you're gonna have your fresh eggs, and then you're gonna be thinking, you know what would be go great with this? Some feta. Then you're gonna get a goat. And then, you know, it kind of goes on, and all of a sudden you're coming home from work and you're picking up a milking cow. And so that can kind of start in the garden. You know, you get a garden, it's like, I can do this. I can have some chickens. The chickens can eat the scraps, you know, and then you can just kind of go with that, and all the while you're gaining independence, you're feeling like you can do hard stuff, and you're eating good food, you're outside, you can be thankful for what's growing well, just on and on. There's so many benefits. And one of the things that's interesting too is just having your hands in good soil, how many good health benefits that has. There was an article recently that came up that said that it has like an antidepressant quality that lasts for longer than the other antidepressants. It has no side effects. And so it's like what every gardener knows, like, why do I feel so happy after working out in the garden? It's like, because it's good for you. You were made for this, you know? So, yeah, so many great things. Okay, so this is kind of just getting into the nuts and bolts of tips if you want to have a garden. So, the first thing to think about is good location. Whenever I'm putting in a garden for homeowners, it's got to have good light, unless you want to just grow like a lot of leafy greens or herbs or something like that. But about 6 to 8 hours of light is good. You need access to water. But then something a lot of times people don't think about is they'll put the garden like way in the back. But I try to make it as close to your kitchen door as possible. And then basically make it an extension to your house. Like, this is a happy place for you to go in every day, with your coffee, in the evening with friends, but some places you're going every day to check on, to tend to. I tell all my garden customers that plants need daily affirmations. You know, you go out and tell them how great they're doing. You're so proud of them, you give them some pets. It sounds silly, but it actually, just that kind of care and attention is part of what makes a good garden. Okay, so my background, especially with my master's degree, is in the soil. So I always have to restrain myself from getting too nerdy when talking about soil, but if you want to talk in depth, I'm happy to. But whenever you start a garden, invest in the soil. And so I was actually just talking to somebody at the booth that has a garden, and she was saying, you know, I didn't realize that the plants needed fertilizer. Like, I thought you just put in soil and then the plants will grow. And it's like totally understandable. Whenever I started gardening, I used to water the whole plant, and then it's like they don't take up the water from the root, the leaves. They take it up from the roots. But if you don't know, you don't know. But starting with soil, good soil is super important. Just have a good base blend that can drain well. So you kind of want a mix of a little bit of sand, peat, river silt, that kind of thing. And then on top of that is where I put the fertilizer. So you want to have a good all-around fertilizer, which means on the front of the bag, it's got all three numbers. It's not just a 1300 or whatever, but most organic fertilizers will be something like a 433 or an 855, or usually lower numbers than what the conventional fertilizers will be. And then I make sure to get a micronutrient, which is, I think a lot of times gardeners aren't actually thinking about the micronutrients. And they're called micronutrients because you just need a little bit, but they're so important for the functioning of the plant. So just like Grant was showing that bucket, the barrel, if one of the elements is low, it's all spilling out. So you need to make sure that it's got the right amounts of not only your macronutrients, but your micronutrients. And azomite that I put on there, azomite, is a good micronutrient blend. And it's called azomite because it has all the minerals A and C. And then I finish with compost. And I just put my compost right on top of the fertilizer. I don't mix it in. It's almost like a mulch. And I try to get as many different types of compost as possible. So if I'm getting bag compost, you can get cow, mushroom, chicken, cotton burr. And so I try to get a lot of different compost, layer it right on top. And then the water's going to bring it down into the root zones. The organisms, the earthworms, the bugs are going to bring it in. And it also just acts as a nice weed barrier as well by just putting it on top. And then as far as planting, make sure you plant what you like to eat. Don't just plant a bunch of eggplant if you don't eat eggplant. Plant what you like to eat. And then also plant what's the right things at the right time of year. So plant seasonally. Okay, this is just a little before and after about why the soil matters. So this is this on the left is where, or that's the right is where I work at Ruzan and what the plants look like when I first got there. So those are supposed to be cabbages in front that are sitting, they've got a long stalk that are sitting up top, and then tomatoes in the back that have no greenery but a red tomato on it. And it's like, that's not what plants want to look like. But on the right, this is only after about a year of being there, investing in the soil. And you can see what I look for as far as healthy plants, healthy, happy plants, is good size, dark green color, or dark red color, or whatever the color is you want it to be. And you're really doing great if you get a sheen on your leaves, like a shine. That means that the plants aren't doing just their base, making carbohydrates. They're able to make lipids, which is actually a great protection for insects. So again, it's preventive care by having the healthy soil. Okay, so this is good news if you want to have a garden and you've been meaning to do it. Now is the best time to start a garden in South Louisiana. We think about our growing year starting when school starts. So it's now, and then, just the next 9-10 months is just going to be great growing. And one thing that I like to do, and I'll show you slides, is interplanting, but mixing crops that are long season crops like broccoli, cauliflower, kale, cabbage, and have next to it planted short season crops like baby greens, radishes, green onions do great next to it, but interplanting to get diversity and to just maximize your space that you have in your garden. Another thing that I think that new gardeners don't often think about is what we call succession seeding. So instead of just planting the whole garden out at one time and then harvesting what's there, and then you just wait for the next season and you pull it all up and start all over again, we think about continuing to plant, to keep planting. So on the farm, we're seeding every week because we're harvesting every week. And so in your garden, anytime you see some open area that isn't going to be needed for something else, I would say seed something in there. Lettuces, baby greens, radishes, to maximize your space, to keep having a continuous harvest. Okay, these are just a quick list of some of my favorite cool season crops. We grew up lettuces. Everybody eats them. It's easy to grow. They grow great here. Greens are wonderful. Kale, collards, mustard greens. Cold crops, so all the broccoli, cauliflower, cabbage, Brussels sprouts. Brussels sprouts are hard here. You have to plant them really early. It's a really long season crop, but if you were going to do Brussels sprouts, you should plant them now. And then I really like incorporating in alliums, herbs, and flowers. So alliums are like your green onions, your garlic. Herbs, I often plant them on the corners. And a lot of herbs are perennial, meaning they come back year after year. So you can just always have some rosemary in the corner, thyme, oregano. And then I like incorporating flowers too, edible flowers. They're pretty. You can put them in your salads. You can put them in ice cubes. You can put them in tea. And then it's also bringing in good pollinators. It's pretty. If you have kids in the garden, it's really exciting for them. You do have to teach. Now we eat these flowers, but most of the time we do not. Who knows? It's a little lesson, but the kids love them. Okay, here's just some tips for planting. Oftentimes, what I'll see in new growers, and I did it too, is planting too close. So it's planting too close. So it's hard to imagine how big a broccoli plant will get until you grow a broccoli plant, or a tomato, or squash. They just take up so much space. But if you look at the back of the seed packet or on your tag or for a transplant, it'll give you recommendations for spacing. So just follow it, even if it's hard. And again, what we do when we have, broccoli or cabbage or things like that eventually will need a lot of space, we go in there with a quick baby green or radishes or something like that. So you're able to get a quick crop in there, but you're not packing your broccoli in too close. You're giving it enough room. Another thing that I see often is not watering after you plant or you seed. So when you put when you dig a hole and you plant your plant, what I'll tell kids is that you've got to tuck it into bed. So you put the soil around, you pat it in nice and tight so that there's no air between where the roots are and the soil. And then I tell kids to tell it goodnight. Often it works great with adults too. But it also gets your position right on this plant. Like, this is a baby that you're taking care of and you're wishing it the best. And so you need to come and check on your baby, but then afterwards you water it in really well, and that'll kind of get the soil around it well. And also, if you're seeding, it's even more important to keep it watered, because the first step for a seed to sprout is that it swells up with water. So you want to keep it damp until you see it sprout. Once it sprouts, it doesn't have to stay as wet, but keeping it watered initially is very important. And then what I've already said, but think about incorporating the herbs and flowers and mixing up short season and long season crops. Okay, here's just a visual on how I like to plant. Okay, here we have kale and broccoli. That's kind of the main two crops that I have, the biggest crops that I have in these beds. Down the middle, I've seeded salad radishes. So they're salad turnips. They're small, delicious white turnips. And then on the ends, I have cilantro and dill, so herbs on the corners, and then edible flowers down at the end too. So it maximizes the space. By the time the broccoli and the kale need more room, the turnips are out of there, and so they can really spread out. And so you can see it's a lot of different things closely together and trying to maximize all the areas. This is just a picture about showing how quickly they sprout. And so on the left is where I've just seeded. In the middle, it's just starting to sprout after a couple of days, and then on the end is about 2 weeks in. So they grow quick. And you can imagine, so that's how quickly you can think, okay, I've got this space. Do I have a month? Then put something in there. See, that's arugula and tatsoi, which is an Asian spinach. And I have ABC, which is one of Grant's rules on the farm, which stands for always be seeding. He's a funny guy. But that is important, just always to be thinking about putting new seeds in your garden. and kind of, if something doesn't make it, it's okay. Just pull it up and try something else. It's not a big deal. Okay, this is a planting guide that I've made for our area. We're the USDA Growing Zone 9, 18 or 9A. So this is what I've compiled as, it's kind of hard to see all of the words, but if you want to come and see me over there, we're going to be set up over here, and I'm happy to email it to you or send you a picture on your phone or whatever if you'd like to have a copy. Okay, so this is just a this is from Laughing Buddha Nursery in New Orleans. They put out once a month what they recommend to plant. So this is for September, we're just about there. So things that you can think about planting. And as far as places to get transplants and seeds, transplants would be the baby plants. We're in Baton Rouge, and I really like Flegs. They have really good quality seeds and supplies. The downtown farmers market and the Thursday market have local growers that sell plants. And really, the best thing is to grow your own, because you can know what kind of seeds you have, you know what varieties, you can get it in the ground at the right time. It takes a little bit more to do it, but once you get it down, it's really easy. And then as far as seed sources, if you want to go locally, again, we like Flegs. I typically go to the one on Segan, and on the back wall, they have all kinds of seed varieties that Johnny Naylor, who's been around for a long time, he's tried and true and good varieties for our area. And he's a great resource to talk to there. But for the farm, we order most of our seeds from Johnny's Selected Seeds, but they also can send out packets. So small or large scale they can serve. And then Baker's Creek is a really common, they have all kinds of rare varieties of seeds. Yeah, so that's it. And this is my number, my email address, if you guys want to get in touch, if you have any questions or if there's anything we can do to help. Like I said, we feel really strongly about helping other gardeners grow, and happy to help in any way.
Thank you, Allison. And don't Allison and Grant make gardening and farming look hip and fun? Makes you want to go home and do it and get a backyard garden going. Something she said is so true, that chickens are like the gateway drug into homesteading. I mean, I found myself in that situation.